All right, in your first lesson of the semester, we are going to move away from pencil drawing and graphite drawing. We're going to get into the process of charcoal drawing. So, first thing that you need to be aware of is that with charcoal drawing, we're going to be using different kinds of paper. We're using charcoal paper. Whenever you're using charcoal paper, first thing you want to make sure is that you're drawing on the proper side of the charcoal paper. Easy way to be able to tell is if you rub the front and back end of the paper. One side of the paper is going to be smooth, the other side is going to have a little bit of a rough texture to it. You want to always draw with charcoal paper on the rough side. The rough texture is called tooth, and the tooth of the paper, that texture is what holds the charcoal down onto the paper. It helps to keep your drawing semi-clean. If you draw on the smooth side, there's just not enough texture on the paper to really hold all of the charcoal, which means it's going to be way harder for you to keep it clean. So for this project, this is just a couple of day assignment. What you're going to find is that charcoal goes really, really quick, especially when compared to drawing with pencil and graphite. Charcoal, it's really easy to smudge your charcoal out to get gradient values. It's really easy to get a full range of values just because the charcoal is so dark and so spreadable. So in the classroom, we've got a couple of still lifes set up that are just these very, very simple review still lifes for you. The cubes with the spheres on top. Just a quick review. Remember, with linear perspective, whenever you're drawing a cube or a rectangle, you always want to start with the edge or the front face that is closest to you. It's all about your corners going straight up and down, and about your orthogonal lines being parallel to each other. So this edge is parallel to this edge, which is parallel to this edge. This edge is parallel to this edge, which is parallel to the edge that you can't see all the way back in the back. So pay attention to how you're drawing your cubes. Pay attention to the size of your spheres. You can even go in with an HB pencil or below. Don't go higher than an HB. And you can even come in and start mapping out the shadows, and just go in and just get the general information done in pencil first, and draw pretty light. Because with the charcoal, the beauty of the charcoal is we're going to be able to go in and you'll cover up your pencil drawing with the charcoal, and as long as you draw light enough with the pencil, it's going to cover up the charcoal will cover up the pencil with no problem. So a couple of things, the tools that you're going to be using for this project. We've got two different types of charcoal. First kind of charcoal that you're going to use is a stick of charcoal that's called willow charcoal or vine charcoal. It is very, very light, it's very soft, and it ends up spreading super easily. So once you get your line drawing drawn out, looking at my reference photo, which is the photo that you folks working from home are going to have to work on this, you're going to come in and you're going to start by looking at all of your dark values, and then going in with your willow charcoal. You're just going to come in and you're just going to real rough, real quick, just come in and start laying down your darkest values first. You want to lay down the darkest values first with the willow charcoal, because as you're looking at this, and I'm coming in, I'm gonna map in. Okay, I've got this dark shadow that comes in like this. This side right here had a little bit of a shadow, so I'm just going to come in and lightly put some shadows here, real light, put a dusting of charcoal here. Got a bunch of shadows coming in on this side like this. I've got these shadows that are coming in on this sphere like so. So the beauty about the willow charcoal is that as you're laying down these values, it appears like it's really, really dark right off the bat. Now at this point, once you get your basic layer of charcoal down, then you can go in either using Q-tips or using your fingers. Everybody's always a little bit different on that. Some people don't mind having charcoal on their fingers and really prefer the Q-tips. Some people, like, I just don't like the texture of the cotton on the paper, I tend to avoid the Q-tips unless I'm getting into like real fine details. I'm just going to go in with my fingers right now. Now, looking at my source picture, I've got this dark value here with a quick gradient value that's coming across. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that charcoal that comes in like so. And I'm going to start to blend and smudge that out so that I'm getting my gradient values to create that three-dimensionality of the sphere. So you can already start to see that just real quick. Look at how quick that was to go in and to start to lay out and get that gradient values and those full ranges of values. Got to be real careful with your smudging, because if you go in and you smudge too much, what's going to end up happening is that all of the grays on your picture are going to end up being the same kind of gray. So really what this comes down to is the process of drawing with charcoal is really like a game of tug-of-war. You're going in, now this isn't like I've got the basic beginning, but it obviously does not look like what I've got going on here. So when I talk about a tug-of-war, that means you're going to go in, you're going to lay down a loose value like this with your willow charcoal, start to get those medium to dark grays all the way down to lights. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use your kneaded eraser, and you're going to come in and you're going to use the kneaded eraser to erase some of that charcoal dust. And this is called reductive drawing. That's the other beautiful part about charcoal is, unlike pencil, which takes pressure to apply to get those super darks in, with charcoal, since it's just the dust that you're smudging away, it is real easy to come in and use the eraser as a drawing tool in itself. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to slightly go up, and I'm going to start finding where my highlights are going to be, where my lighter grays are going to be, and then I'm going to go in at this point with my Q-tip, and I'm going to go right on that edge, right on the edge of where I've erased. I'm going to pick up that little bit of charcoal dust over on this side, and I'm going to start blending it over into the areas that I've already erased. This is how you're going to be able to go in and you're going to start to really get those gradient values. This is also where you're going to start to get your control. With charcoal, it's never, ever, ever enough to just do one layer and be like, oh, okay, I got that down and now I'm done. To really get the subtleties and to really get the control with charcoal that I really want you guys to work on acquiring on this project, you've got to go in, you're going to go in, you're going to erase, and then guess what? You're going to come back in and you're going to add a little bit more of your willow charcoal to make your darks just a little darker. Now notice I'm not like drawing this dark area out as far as I drew that other one, because now I'm going to go in right on that edge of that black coming into that gray. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to start feathering that out so that now I'm starting to get more of a full range of values and really focusing on the transition and the gradient from that darker black or that darker gray all the way over to the lighter gray. And I'll come in, I'll feather this out a little bit. So it's really all about just going in and making sure that you're putting enough layers in, that you're going in and you're blending things out, going in and erasing the extra dust so that you end up getting the control that you need to be able to create that full range of values. Now, the last thing, so you've got your willow charcoal, you've got your Q-tips or your fingers, you've got your kneaded eraser. The last kind of charcoal that you're going to use is called compressed charcoal. This charcoal is really thick, it's really heavy, and this charcoal is not so easy to erase. Once you put down a tone with the compressed charcoal, it's really going to be there, and you'll see this here. So you're going to use your compressed charcoal to go in and really get the super blacks to come through on your shadow work. So when I come in and I hit that, I'm going to go in and same thing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to apply that charcoal in, and then I'm going to smudge it out. But notice that as I'm doing this, The compressed charcoal is really staying in place much easier than the willow charcoal is. It's staying much darker, and it does not smudge or blend out nearly as much as the willow. You want to go in and you want to make sure that as you're doing this, as you're using the charcoal, that you're using the right one, either the compressed, where you want your picture to stay super dark black. That's like real strong back in your black negative space. Like, look at how easy it is to go in and get a black background with charcoal. Yeah, you're going to get really dirty like this, but it's super easy to get. It doesn't take nearly as much time. By the time you're done with your piece, you want to have a still life drawing that looks something along the lines of this. Pay attention to your highlights at the top edge. It's always good. Don't have a black edge on a black edge. Have a little white area where you can see the edge of the back of the ball. That helps to create the contrast to build up. So you're going to be working on this for a couple of days just to get used to how the charcoal works.